Hey guys, welcome to SJU. You know who you can't see? John Cena. But you know where you can see him soon? On HBO Max in his own spinoff as Peacemaker, his Suicide Squad character. We're going to chat about it. We're also going to force Spencer to play Simpsons trivia.
Twist my arm. Come on, I'm in.
Yeah, let's do it. You don't win anything except, my respect. Unlike Phantom 5, where you do win monies. And we're going to answer your questions in the chat. So stick around, and we'll be answering your pressing questions live right here. And this is going to be an ASMR video. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, hey, wow. Guys. Before we get into Peacemaker, the next Phantom 5 trivia show, it's on The Simpsons, and it's this Friday, September 25th. There's a link in the description below. It's starting a little later than usual, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 4 p.m. Pacific Time. A little late night trivia action with your bros. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's in support of Direct Relief, and you win money. So come test your Simpsons money, test your Simpsons knowledge, hang out with me, and you win money. As someone in the comments called it yesterday, the movie trivia Joe-down. Which
patent pending.
So let's get into it, guys. HBO Max has ordered a Suicide Squad spinoff with John Cena's character Peacemaker. John Cena, of course, will be reprising his role from the film, a role that we don't know a lot about, other than the idea of Peacemaker is he's like crappy Captain America, basically. If Captain America was a real murdery douche. James Gunn will write the series and direct multiple episodes, including the pilot. HBO Max has ordered 8 episodes of the show. They've described it as an action-adventure comedy. The exact plot of the series is being kept under wraps, but it is said it will explore the origins of Peacemaker, a man who believes in peace at any cost, no matter how many people he has to kill to get it.
He's the Punisher, not Captain America.
Yeah, he's got the colors on. He's like a very mean Punisher type. So
I think maybe he's Captain America. He's the Punisher who thinks he's Captain America.
That is the Punisher? I think Frank Castle has a real weird Steve Rogers fetish in the comics, if I remember correctly. He has a weird daddy thing with Captain America. It's weird. Like, anytime Frank Castle sees Steve Rogers, he's just like, "Sir!" and just starts crying. It's very strange. Anyway.
In the Civil War storyline he does.
It's real weird. Yeah, he has a whole thing. But let's focus on this daddy. Let's focus on John Cena. I think he's a really fantastic comedic actor, so I'm excited to see him do a What If Superheroes Were Bad show. I'm good with that. I think it'd be fun. Thoughts from you two?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm surprised by Gunn's big involvement. Like, I would have thought, he'll have an EP credit. But no, they're like, he's written all 8 episodes. He's directed multiple episodes, including the pilot. So it is interesting to see him really stay closely involved with DC in general, and this character he's getting to introduce into the movies in a big way. But I think that's pretty cool. And obviously, HBO Max, we talked about how HBO Max didn't have a lot to debut with. So they have to be like, hey, guys, we got some cool stuff coming. And I think this is a nice attention-getting thing that I certainly want to check out. Yeah,
the streaming wars in general right now seem to come down to hang in there. Here's, it seems to be very dangling the carrot. Spencer, does this carrot have enough juice on it?
Sure, this is a juicy carrot. And like Eric said, it's James Gunn's involvement. And I think that were this from, say, a different writer-creator, it wouldn't have the same appeal because, as you were kind of intimating, this is a premise that has been explored by The Boys, by so many shows before it, of what if superheroes weren't actually as good as we think they are. But I think that with James Gunn's pedigree of stuff like Super, his horror background, his Dawn of the Dead movie, the Belko Experiment, a little much for me. But I think that he is definitely the right person to take on this kind of premise. And yeah, if he's actually involved, more guns, I always say. More guns.
Yeah, no, I am a firm supporter of the Second Amendment in storytelling as well. I think James Gunn staying involved, I think, speaks to the caliber of what they expect this to be. I think he clearly loves the character, probably really dug working with Cena. And also, I mean, James Gunn's at the point now where he can do whatever he wants. You know, I don't think that guy's worrying about rent anymore. So if he wants to jump from the big screen to the small screen and just kind of do something crazy with his pals, it's an easy move for him to make. He's definitely in the let's have some funsies phase of his career.
I don't think he ever left, Joe. I think he's always had funsies. And I think that's the appeal of a James Gunn picture, is like he's not beholden to perhaps good taste or to seriousness in any way, and they're always kind of these fun splatterfests, and you could dial up or down the gore depending on who he's working for.
That is a very good point. I think he's really God, not to make it sound completely gross, but he's really built a brand on just having like a good time and making art on his own terms. And I think you make a good point. It's interesting that whereas I think a lot of indie directors hit that big studio and sort of break. I don't think he never really has. I feel like the studios have sort of had to come to him and be like, would you have funsies with us? And it can still be your funsies, but Whereas a lot of directors lose their voice with this kind of stuff.
It's interesting. The Boys' existence, I think, will make this show a little tricky, just because I was even looking at like Gunn's quote in the press release, which was, Peacemaker is an opportunity to delve into current world issues through the lens of this superhero/supervillain and world's biggest douchebag. And it's like, well, The Boys kind of does that too, but Gunn makes me feel like he's, of course, going to be aware of The Boys, and he'll make sure it feels different, so it won't feel like, oh, well, they're doing what The Boys does. It's going to take its own, because if it was other creator, I might be a little more nervous about like, oh, I don't know if this material you can do again. By the way, I also thought it was funny that the press release specifically mentioned how this show will film early in 2021 before Guardians of the Galaxy 3, just because, like, all his people had to be involved, all the signups, because they wanted to make sure that no one said, does this mean he's leaving Guardians 3? To be like, no, it's actually got to be in the HBO Max press release that he's still doing Guardians 3.
Yeah, movie Illuminati got together and they were like, okay, how does this press release work for all parties involved? Spencer, is this going to feel a little too much like The Boys, or can Gunn...
Maybe. I'm going to give a strong maybe, because as I was thinking, it's like, you could have told me that James Gunn was the showrunner of The Boys, and I'd probably believe you. I'd be like, okay, I can see him making that show. So I think that maybe the focus on a singular hero, if it is that, if it isn't a team up, and if it is really just this one character, that sets it apart, like a kind of over-the-top cartoonish version of The Punisher, could be fun and different enough. But we're clearly treading on similar premise territory. But in the hands of two different creators, they can turn out completely different.
I think in terms of vibe, The Boys has like a much bigger sort of cinematic feel, whereas Gunn has throughout his career sort of maintained that that feeling of I made squibs out of ketchup packets, and all of his stuff still feels a little indie, I think, in some ways. Not dissing, not as in like it's low quality or anything like that, but it all sort of still feels like it's just him and his buddies, scrapping it up and doing what they can to make a movie. Even Guardians, in a way, even though it had a $1 million budget. But
I think it had a few $1 million budget.
I think, look, shooting in space is not cheap. Getting to them planets ain't cheap. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think, again, Cena, I think, is a great comedic actor. If you haven't seen Trainwreck, he's super funny in that. I just think that the dude's good. Put him in his red, white, and blue shorts.
What's that? Blockers. He's really funny in Blockers.
Yeah. He's great in Blockers. That was the other one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
He's great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's a scene involving him and Gary Cole looking at each other at a key moment that made me laugh a lot.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I think that's going to be the thing about, Gunn and Cena, who they're both so talented teaming up, that will make this feel like its own thing. Because the fact that they keep using that word, like douchebag is clearly their go-to word for how to describe Peacemaker. Mm-hmm. And I think that will set him aside. Like, because, you watch The Boys and it's like Homelander is like, he's a malicious character. Like he's like, he puts on a public face, but what he's doing behind the scenes is much different. I feel like this character will live in his own world and have his own vibe, and I'm actually very excited to see what these two guys together will do with it.
The idea of this with Gunn involved feels a little more like a Bad Santa take on Punisher or Captain America than it does on The Boys. Zeno Hour in chat says The Boys is more or less satirizing Hollywood, politics, and corporate America, whereas James Gunn embraces the comic books more, if that makes sense. I think it does. I think, there is definitely more of a panel on the page feel to his stuff, that he just loves to live in that world.
Even when you look at the costumes in Suicide Squad and the fact that they are embracing, obviously the whole idea is they're taking these D-list characters, but they're also embracing here's what they look like, or a version of what they look like, and let's just go for it. So he's all in on that comic book stuff.
Yeah. And in terms of some of these DC shows coming up, I'm super into this one. Obviously, Harley Quinn getting a season 3 is super cool. I just started season 1, and it's super fun, totally worth checking out. But then, maybe it's because we got Gotham and we got Pennyworth, but the Matt Reeves Gotham PD connected show, I'm kind of like, the world around Batman, I'm kind of tired. So I'm super down with them to just do something real doofy with Cena.
Yeah, I hope the Suicide Squad's good. Otherwise, uh-oh.
Oh, God, right? Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's interesting. Obviously they might, Warner Brothers must be really happy, right, for this to be happening. And it is interesting, right, because Suicide Squad, I thought, was a very bad movie, and I realized it made money, but clearly they knew they had to pivot. The way they're doing this sort of sequel shows you that they know they had to change things up. And if they're that confident that they are hey, let's keep doing this with a spinoff TV show, and that makes me hopeful. Not that studio execs always know if they think something's great, they could be wrong. But yes, I agree, Spencer. Let's hope it's good, but I'm fairly hopeful at this point.
This is the second DC movie after the Batman that an HBO Max spinoff series has been announced for. Do we think that this is sort of a pattern that's going to continue for DC? Ryan added a note to the script. He wants a Shazam family comedy where the superpowers never come up, and it's just a fun family sitcom about that foster family, which I'd also watch. They're delightful.
I think guess,
so go for it, Spencer.
That's an interesting tact. Is the big budget movie with the lower budget TV series attached? But these aren't
it's almost
these aren't 26 episode orders. These are 8 episodes, 6 episodes, stuff like that. So I can see them making really good miniseries around these things. But at the same time, I personally have very little interest in so we have Matt Reeves, the Batman, and then we have Matt Reeves, Gotham Police Department procedural. I don't care. And I'm sorry about that Shazam idea, but I'm not going to watch a bunch of non-superpowered foster kids just...
You hate on the family.
Ryan has the ability to just disconnect your feed.
That's true. I no offense to Ryan, but it's a cool strategy. But I would hope that they would invest the same kind of love and care and keep the same vibe of the movies in these series, like a Suicide Squad thing. Then you focus on one character rather than making a budget basic TV show that tangentially connects to these massive superhero movies they're making.
Yeah, I think it's what we were talking about, both with we want to announce big things so people will keep wanting HBO Max, but also in both cases they were very much pushing. Look at the involvement we have of the filmmaker. Matt Reeves is not as involved in this Gotham show, it sounds like, but they're still making sure to be he is involved, and they got a very acclaimed creator with Terrence Winter to partner with him. Here you have James Gunn very hands-on with this show, so I think it's a smart strategy because it's almost like they're seeing what Disney Plus is doing with these Star Wars shows, but trying to get ahead of it. So it's Disney Plus is let's do these shows with these characters you like, and we'll get some people to work on it. But here they're okay, while we're developing and while we've got these big movies we're making, let's also get the same filmmakers connected to do these shows and kind of try to plan way ahead. So it's a smart idea. We'll see. I mean, it's so easy, of course, to do too many of them or be this one just totally fell flat on its face. But I am curious if it'll keep happening.
Yeah, and obviously, I think they see something very special in this performance. I mean, we've got to assume that Cena in some ways steals the movie. The fact that they just wanted to keep doing more. But I also appreciate the strategy of, look, DC hasn't done the best job of lifting up characters that aren't like on the AB tier. Mostly the main Justice Leaguers, a lot of Batman. Whereas Marvel, and maybe not even by design, but like, the Guardians themselves, D tier, even Iron Man. And the fact that they have amplified, Groot and Rocket Raccoon and, all of these lesser known characters so much, I think has impacted them positively in all sorts of arenas, whether it's Spirit Halloween store costumes or plush toys or comics or whatever. And it's also given them a little more currency when you start to see more and more lesser known characters pop up. Like, they have such a history now of a pattern of hits that now when a Marvel thing pops up and it's like, oh, and it features Wallpaper Lad, you're like, oh, cool, can't wait to see what they do with Wallpaper Lad. So I'm hoping DC kind of really starts to get in the spirit of taking some of these lesser tier characters and lifting them up, because I think they have a cool opportunity to suddenly all of a sudden Peace is like an A-lister. He's like going toe-to-toe with Batman in a comic or something like that. So, yeah, I think they have a cool opportunity here.
Well, that's what the Suicide Squad's all about. You literally have Polka Dot Man on the big screen. So they have the chance to spawn a million little franchises off of this. Hopefully it'll just make a good movie.
I just like, as a WWE fan, that we got Sasha Banks coming to Disney Plus, John Cena at HBO Max. The streaming wars are really embracing wrestling, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, Spencer, you're gonna have to start boning up, man.
They did this already in the '80s. It didn't work.
It's gonna work this time.
It's gonna work this time. Look,
Stone Cold made a movie. It wasn't good.
I didn't read 20 years of terrible Wizard magazine casting ideas where only buff wrestlers could play buff heroes to just not have them be in my comic book show, Spencer.
You're right. You put in the work.
Yeah, I put in the work, and hopefully they have in their acting classes, because it's nothing but wrestlers from here on out.
Make Lobo X-Pac. It's the only wrestler I remember from my era.
Look, you just did a lot with a little, and I appreciate it so much.
I wasn't expecting any of that, so that was great.
Sarah Risley asked a great question, and then we'll move on. How risky is it for these streaming services to promise anything that can start production in the near term when so much can change with the actors and crew between now and then? I don't have a good answer for that question.
That's true. I mean, they seem to, each studio and each production even seems to be playing by its own rules. And even stuff like the Batman, where you have a COVID outbreak, they are back up filming again. Yeah. So they're not letting them stop them for long. And, maybe they'll get better at it, or maybe they'll care less. There's too much money on the line for them to care about their health. Sadly, I think that they are going to keep the pedal to the floor as much as they can. And look, they're trying to keep everybody safe. We'll just see how possible that is.
Yeah, I think it's more of what we've been talking about as far as like, the danger right now is just like, anything that would be considered like a lower budget thing is probably going to be so low prioritized, because it's like, okay, well, we have to make sure we've got the big shiny stuff. And whether that be movies or these like, not prestige, these tentpole shows for the streaming services. So I think they might be making less, but they're going to make sure stuff like this happens because HBO Max is so important to them. So they'll do everything they can to make that come together.
And I think a lot of business being as healthy as it can be right now is about an illusion of comfort to fans and audiences and shareholders and whoever else, just keeping them feeling just generally optimistic. And if that means rolling out the plan that guys, we're gonna start shooting 2021, baby, when everything is fine, when all of this ends, I think that's kind of part of it too. It's a fair question though. Does Roman Reigns? Does something happen and Roman Reigns has to jump in? He's another pro wrestler, Spencer. For John,
he was in Hobbs and Shaw, I believe.
He was.
Yes, he was. He was at Hobbs and Shaw.
With his cousin, The Rock. Yeah.
In that, he was in Hobbs and Shaw in that weird half-hour short film they put at the end of that movie. Hey, Spencer.
Yeah.
You want to answer some questions?
Sure. What do you got?
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you about them as soon as I have them opened up in my browser again. Hey guys, we do this show called the Fandom 5. It's easy. It's on Fridays. You answer 5 questions correctly, and you win money. And then I roll an 8-sided dice because I'm me, and one of the 8 players comes back for a 9th, harder round, and they win a lot more money. And this Friday, it's at 4 Pacific time. And it's about Simpsons. So if you are a fan of The Simpsons, I believe Lon has said it's going to focus more on, like the golden years, that first 10 seasons.
10. Yeah,
2 through 10. Come in, take a shot. At the very least, come hang out with me for a little bit. It's always a fun, weird show. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And now Spencer, super fan, Spencer J. Gilbert, who talks in... Sometimes, most of the time, I don't even catch them. Simpsons references are so just
they're baked in, Joe.
They're just baked into your being.
Sadly, the thing is I haven't rewatched The Simpsons in forever. I'll catch it once in a blue moon, but I think it's so baked in because I watch it every single day after school that I'm hoping that at least the golden age is still up there somewhere. So I'm excited to test my knowledge.
Okay, let's do this. Welcome to the Movie Trivia Showdown. Copyright ending. Okay, here we go. Question number 1, Spencer J. Gilbert. Let's do this like we're actually playing the game. Favorite episode of The Simpsons? Tell me. Let's warm you up.
Probably. I think Frank Grimes for me is an unimpeachable episode of that show. But really, take your pick. Just close your eyes and throw a dart, and it'll land on a great episode from those seasons. But yeah, Frank Grimes really stuck with me.
Eric, do you have a favorite or a favorite character, favorite moment? Since you're here,
the Grimes one certainly stands out. But then the other one is the Albert Brooks Scorpio. Am I remembering that?
You only move twice. Yeah, that's my favorite.
That might be my favorite. I watched that one a lot. I remember watching that one over and over again.
To this day, I just take whole handfuls of salt out of my pockets and just hand them to people. All right, let's do this. Spencer, you feel warmed up? You feel good?
Yeah, sure. Hit me.
Okay, let's play. Question number 1. One of Homer's lifelong dreams was to own what NFL football team?
Oh, it's from the Hank Scorpio episode.
Yes, it is.
Where Hank Scorpio gifts him Tom Landry's hat because his dream is to own the Dallas Cowboys, but Hank Scorpio sticks him with the Denver Broncos at the end.
You just don't understand football, Marge. That is correct. It is the Dallas Cowboys. All right, off to a good start. Here we go. Question number 2. In season 9, what is revealed as the true name of the man we've come to know as Principal Seymour Skinner?
Ah, yes, the Vietnam episode, where I believe this has been reversed canonically because everyone hated this decision. And I'm pretty sure his name is Armand Tamzarian, something like that.
You got it. It is Armand Tamzarian. It is not just something like that. It is exactly like that. We're 2 for 2. Okay. What is the name of Selma's pet iguana?
Well, as you know, I had a pet iguana myself whose name was not Jub Jub, but should have been Jub Jub because that's an adorable name for an iguana.
We're 3 for 3, man. You're killing this. Okay,
I don't know any of these.
Here we go. Number 4. What rock band does Homer go on tour with in the show's 7th season?
Oh, God. This one is... I'm going out on a limb here. I don't know if he... Does he tour with the Smashing Pumpkins? Does he tour with them? Or... That's my final answer.
He does tour with the Smashing Pumpkins.
I wasn't sure if he just showed up at Lollapalooza with them, or if they actually went on tour together.
No, they went on tour, and then that's when he starts doing the cannon thing,
the cannonball,
right?
Man, yeah, that's right.
Okay, here we go. Let's do it, man. 5 for 5. Ralph Wiggum has an imaginary leprechaun friend. What does it tell him to do?
Okay, it's burn something. I don't know if it's burn them all or if it's burn it down. It's something burn related. So I'll say burn them all.
It's burn things, so I'm going to give it to you. You win. Yeah. Congratulations.
All right.
You win $150 worth of my respect.
Thank you.
Bart
I'll
bucks.
take it. That's worth more than gold to me.
Yeah, you win 150 Bort license plates.
Love it.
All right. And see, guys, that's how the Fandom 5 is done. So, again, come hang out. Super fun show. We've got, before we get into questions from the chat, so make sure you guys are getting those in, a bunch of just Marvel movie date delays came out. We're not really going to discuss them. Because what is there to discuss, I guess, other than...
One thing I want to mention about it.
Okay, there's one thing Eric wanted to mention, but otherwise we just kind of wanted to run these down, and Eric, jump in when the thing happens that you want to mention. So, this is Viva Variety. Black Widow has moved to May 7th, 2021. Shang-Chi has moved to July 9th, 2021. Eternals has moved way back to November 2021. This makes 2020 the first year without an MCU movie since 2009, after the Iron Man Incredible Hulk kickoff in 2008, and while they were making Iron Man 2, which opened in 2010. So this leaves WandaVision, which is, expected and due in December as the only MCU content this year, and New Mutants as the only Marvel-based movie of 2020. Eric, was there something that you wanted to mention, or have I not said it yet?
No, you haven't. Well, you said it without saying it, which is, two things, which is one, them just deciding, screw it, we're not going to try for February as a date, because that kept being like one of the dates. So like, we're not even going to try for February. But the other big one I didn't notice at a glance was that Shang-Chi and Eternals swapped. That it's now Shang-Chi's opening before Eternals. So it's just interesting. Like, why did they do that? At first I tweeted, do they think Shang-Chi's like more of a summer movie if they can stick to this schedule? And then someone said, hell, maybe a friend of mine tweeted me, maybe they think Eternals could actually be the first one since Black Panther with some actual Oscar potential. Remembering Chloe Zhao is so acclaimed, just had a huge acclaimed movie debut at a bunch of film festivals coming out, Nomadland there this year. So that's, because in November again, if they're thinking maybe it could get some pickup there. So that was the one thing that really stuck out, is that swapping those two movies, which they kept moving those three, but they'd always stay in a block, and now they actually flipped a couple around.
They could actually just be torturing Kumail and just being like, you have to stay ripped in case...
Stay buff, man.
Yeah, stay buff till next November, bro.
Feige thinks it's funny. He's just like...
Yeah, fish and push-ups, man, for another year.
Something I noticed that you didn't call out, I believe, is... the Kingsman moved up.
Yep.
Yes.
Closer. It's just very World War I to me, of like some posh English general being like, go into the battlements.
You're up first.
Sending this movie to just get gunned down and mustard gassed. So,
exactly. This movie was born to be gunned down and mustard gassed. It wasn't even a Kingsman movie. They made it one.
Yeah, they just tagged on a little Eggsy epilogue. Like, just name my grandchild Eggsy.
That's one of my favorite things is scripts that are turned into sequels. And this goes way back when like a script called Simon Says became Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Die Hard with a Vengeance,
Yeah, and there's like times where they just are like, hey, that's a script we have sitting around the studio. Put Murtaugh and Riggs in it, or whatever you do.
Wasn't there a Die Hard sequel became something else? Like Soldier or something like that. I don't know. You keep talking. I'll figure it out.
I think Soldier began as like a Blade Runner. Like there's all these weird things where things morph behind the scenes.
Was it and my memory gets cloudy as I get older, but wasn't like Universal Soldier supposed to be like a Masters of the Universe sequel, and then it
Cyborg was supposed to be Masters of the Universe 2. Yes. And
because like there's still some sets and costumes from it in the movie. I think my Cyborg lore is a little hazy, which
I might have a pre-tape idea on our hands here, boys. Don't
Christmas content. We're off to a good start. Some other changes. Death on the Nile is moving back to December 18th, 2020. So still
trying.
2020 apparently. The Empty Man is moving is another one that's moving up. I don't think I've ever heard of The Empty Man. It's moving up to October 23rd. Man, yeah, they're just throwing some of these to the wolves. The movie I know we've all been looking
ones.
forward to, the big title I know that the three of us talk about like every morning when we get together and have our virtual coffee, untitled Disney event film, which was previously scheduled for July 9th, 2021, has been removed from the schedule, which is heartbreaking.
I had a lot of good ideas for content.
Yeah. We were going to do a watch this.
The lore of that is amazing.
Yeah, good Lord, yeah. And you know, a related untitled 20th century movie, previously dated August 13th, 2021, has also been removed from the schedule. So poor run out for the untitled film.
The entire franchise, they're just gutting it.
Yeah, just really it was going to be a multi-studio franchise, which I think was absolutely wild. Let's answer some questions from chat.
Can I throw in one more observation?
Yes.
Conspicuous by not being mentioned is Soul. So the rumors of it maybe becoming a Disney Plus premiere movie.
Yeah,
I feel like the fact that they moved everything on their fall December schedule except Soul makes me think we're going to get some sort of announcement on Soul.
Yeah, I still think Mulan did so well as a premium VOD, being a not great movie that everyone was really against already before it, and it still made money. So imagine like a Pixar movie or something. I think the experiment was still successful even though the movie was bad. So yeah, I definitely see Soul. Maybe even a few untitled Walt Disney event films, you know, just getting completely switched to VOD. I'm shocked that they're not just doing it with like The Kingsman. I mean, I'm sure it's already baked into contracts that they have to have some kind of theatrical run, but a lot of this stuff is just going to get tossed onto the fire. In chat, Adam Holbert asks, who do you think could become the best director of 2020? Hers is Chloe Zhao of Nomadland and
the decade of the 2020s.
Oh, of the 2020s. Thank you. Sorry, I was like,
I was going to say not many to choose from. Yeah, who made Money Plane?
God, best director of the 2020s. I mean, we're not too far in right now. Let me ask you guys this: is there anybody who's sort of broken out, maybe in the past year or two, that you guys sort of see a lot of potential?
I mean, as a horror guy, I'm a big Flanagan. Flanagan.
Flanagan.
Haunting of Hill House and Dr. Sleep. I love a lot of the stuff he's done, so I'm always excited about new stuff from him.
Yeah, I think Mike Flanagan's a great decision. My relationship with his work is so weird. I absolutely love it, and then I never like how he ends any of it. It's really weird. But I would never tell someone not to watch his stuff because I think it's great. I just never agree with his endings. It's really weird. Spencer, anybody?
I guess continuing the horror tip, we could do Ari Aster, with Midsummer and Hereditary. That's a good 1-2 punch coming out of the gate.
Yeah,
that could beckon more things to come in the decade. And I mean, when I initially interpreted the question as like best director of 2020, it was my favorite movie of 2020 was First Cow, and this woman Kelly Reichardt directed it, and she's made a couple movies, actually 4 or 5 movies before that, but man, I'd like to see more from her.
Right on. I think all real good pitches, you guys, real good picks. Let's see here. What else we got? John Bainbridge asks, what little known superhero deserves a show? The more ridiculous, the better. I will give... I think I've mentioned him as a hope for Suicide Squad in the past, but I think King Tut from the old Adam West show. I think just the weird tale of a bored rich man who's obsessed with Egypt stuff, slowly becoming a villain, would be very fun. And so I'm giving to King Tut, year 1.
I was a big Hulk fan, so it's funny. I'm saying this even though it's like we're already getting She-Hulk, which is, the whole fun idea there is like it's a female Hulk who's also a lawyer. But then there's Doc Samson, who I guess we got teased in Incredible Hulk with Ty Burrell playing Leonard Samson. But for those who don't know, Doc Samson, he gets a little bit of the Hulk strength. So only his hair turns green, but he gets all buff. And he's a psychiatrist. who's got some Hulk strength. So look at the Insta picture of Doc Samson. Thank you.
Nailed it.
So there's something very innately goofy and fun about that I
dig that. Spinny?
I remember very little of this, except that I really liked it as a kid. Do you know that comic series Bone?
Yeah, Bone's great.
Why not? Where's the Bone stuff at? Take me into the Bone zone.
I feel like there was a. I'm googling it, but I feel like this was supposed to happen.
Yeah, God, it's like a weird sense memory I have because I think I read it when I was 6 or something like that. But it was just the art was so cool and fun, and it seemed like these adventure stories with a little romance and
Netflix greenlit a series.
Okay, great. There you go.
You're getting it. You're getting some Bone. We're going to Bone Zone.
Bone Zone's opening up. It's gonna
this is a question for Eric from both Arceus, the Lord of Creation, and Jarrett Johnson. Any thoughts on Supergirl Ending?
Just that I'm surprised it is so soon, only because I think you just kind of logically thought with the bigger shows, it would be in the order they debuted. And so since Arrow ended first, you thought, Flash will be next. Mm-hmm. So my only speculation here is Flash, I think, is still CW's biggest show, right? So maybe they're just fighting to keep that on the air longer. And Supergirl is going into season 6 because they're very vague about who decided to end it. But they're saying it early, right? They're going to have the time to do the whole season, which is great. I wonder if maybe Melissa Benoist just doesn't want to. She might be up for contract this year. Sometimes they sign 6-year deals. So I wonder if she's just this can be it for me. So I was surprised just because you just kind of figured it would end after Flash.
I've got to imagine that being the lead actor of a series that, quite frankly, what are they do what, 20, 22, 24?
They do a full 22 still, yeah.
They do a full 22. She's probably not making as much as a lot of actors that are doing 8-episode superhero minis for streaming.
Sure.
That's probably got to be a little frustrating. I've got to assume that after 6 seasons of full 22 orders, you just get exhausted. Again, I haven't heard anything that it was her that walked away from the table or anything like that. But I got to assume
and I haven't heard there's any bad blood, but it just made me I've done this for a while.
It gets old. it gets tiring. You probably want to do something new.
I will say I was having a Twitter conversation about this yesterday. I am guessing that right now someone said to me, I hope John Cryer stays on for Superman and Lois. I was like, I bet you there are conversations happening right now, and I can see that. And John Cryer credit moving over to Superman and Lois. Maybe he sticks around for Supergirl's final season here and there. And then,
I'm shocked creatively that it's not the Flash first, because I feel like the Flash kind of, right? Yeah, Flash. How many more times can you go back in time, baby? Right? I know. How many times did that guy play with time?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I guess so. They got a few more time periods for him to play with, I guess. Okay, yeah. R.I.P. Supergirl. It was a good little show. I watched, I think, the first 3 seasons, and then admittedly started to really fall off all my Arrowverse stuff. But I thought she was great in the role, and it was super fun take on the show. Spencer, how are you going to mourn the passing of this CW show?
Life's too short for CW shows, Joe. There's too much prestige TV. We're at peak TV right now. I don't. What I've seen of them is fun. It's fine. But the fact that you need to commit to 4 different shows with like you said, 40 episode seasons, that's another job. Who needs that kind of work right now?
Yeah, true. Very fair.
It's a lot. They should scale those back.
F-Pop Entertainment asks, tougher recasting, Wolverine or Iron Man?
Wolverine. Or no, Iron Man's probably tougher. Or is it Wolverine? Good question. Great question.
Wolverine might be a little easier just because they'll be reintroducing new takes on the character. So I think as much as fans love Hugh Jackman, there's not an expectation for Hugh Jackman to show up in the MCU.
Yeah, and you've already had 17 people wear Iron Man armor in the MCU. So if it is Pepper Potts taking on the role of Iron Man, even if it's what's her name, Helper,
Rescue.
Iron Goop.
Iron Gooper. Then I think that I think Wolverine's going to be the tougher sell, actually, just because Hugh Jackman really defined the role, and he was the role for so long. And I don't know, man. They're all going to be compared, but I think that Robert Downey Jr. himself was very tired with it and was ready to move on. So maybe that helps. He got such a good big send off that we're okay with somebody else putting on the armor.
People feel that way with Logan though.
That's true.
Yeah, he got his send off as well.
And also, like Hugh Jackman, like they're both old. Like, I'm sorry, but they're both pretty old guys. So I think that Father Time was gonna retire them, even if the movies didn't.
Yeah, I think that if we're talking like if we're actually getting into like Tony Stark and Logan, like not just like someone digging the mantle of Iron Man, then I think that Tony's the tougher recast because Hugh Jackman was so great in the role, but at the same time, people are like, yeah, but like they had so many issues with like the movies around him a lot, and we never got him in the costume, and there's all these things where you could be like, he was so great, but now let's get like this different version of Wolverine entirely that's a little more like connected to the comics. Sarah's got some thoughts on that too. But Tony Stark is like where Tony Stark ends and Robert Downey Jr. begins is very hard to tell. So I think that would be especially like if they wanted to pull shenanigans like the comics and like young Tony is plucked out of the time stream and it's a different actor, you'd have to be very careful with your casting there.
That'd be tough.
Sarah says, there are so many amazing X-Men characters. Resist the temptation and don't introduce Wolverine for another 10 years. Give me more Cyclops.
I have a follow-up question. Are either of those harder than recasting Han Solo, do you think? Or like kind of how that worked out?
Well, Han Solo was tough because it was multi-generational at that point. But man, I feel like the MCU has just sort of grabbed people, including the youth. The youth love the MCU. So in the moment, and now, it's like they're sort of hyper-analyzed on a level that even the original Star Wars movies weren't, at least not in the social media way. So I don't know. That's a good question, Ryan. That's a coin toss for me.
I think the card that the MCU still has to play is that they don't have to recast Tony Stark anytime soon. I think, obviously we have to see how this next phase lands, if it ever even gets to. But I think with everything they're building towards, I think, at least for a long time, I don't think the MCU is concerned with looking back or doing restarts. I think it's clear that they're continuing to build to blow up some other characters in big ways and continue to build towards sort of the younger generation that the newer comics introduced. The Young Avengers, Miss Marvel. They still have the Fantastic Four and the X-Men that they haven't even started playing with yet. I really don't think there's an intention anytime soon to bring Tony Stark back into the fold. I think that's the power of the MCU as a brand. As we describe it all the time, it's this giant multi-billion-dollar TV show that keeps chugging along, as opposed to Batman, where it's like, okay, whose turn is it in the cowl? They can just keep moving with the story that is the MCU before they have to do any weird shenanigans to bring the guy back.
Yeah, you're right. It's more likely that they'll, have somebody go to heaven and see Robert Downey Jr. there than they will create a new Tony Stark character. That's a great point. They don't have to for years or a break glass in case of emergency if they have a couple flops. Like, oh, we're bringing Iron Man back. You guys like Iron Man, right?
Although if Thor does go to Valhalla and sees Robert Downey Jr. all braided up with an Iron Man axe, I'd be very interested.
Drinking out of a horn.
Yeah. Drinking out of a horn. Yeah, I'd be super into that. And let's wrap up like we usually do on some important things. Movies, TV, not important. Let's talk about food. Luis Valenzuela asks, favorite food-based show? Do you guys have some favorite food-based shows? I know we've talked...
this is apart from a cooking show, right?
Yeah. We can open this up to whatever kind of discussion you want. I know that you really like, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives spin-off. You've talked about
the Fieri-verse. Yeah, and I like the Fieri-verse a lot. And I like Iron Chef. Iron Chef Japan is like the best combination of like an anime, a reality competition show, and like a superhero a reality show that you'll ever see. So the original Iron Chef is my choice. But let me think about it while you guys talk.
yeah, my wife tends to watch a lot of the like cooking shows and some of those food shows more than I do, but then of course I see them. So I would say, yeah, Triple D. We've gotten some legit good, fun recommendations off that. Say what you will about Guy, but we've gone to some places we quite enjoyed that had his picture on the wall.
Hey, we don't deserve that, man.
And then Top Chef. I've enjoyed several seasons of Top Chef.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Bake Off come back. They keep messing with our hearts by changing up the presenters. You know, just as soon as you get used to the dynamic of one group, they change things up. So I'm nervous, but I'm hopeful. And I think lately my other favorite food-related content is Fights at Waffle House.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
I love Waffle House. I love going to Waffle House. I love thinking about Waffle House.
You love fighting the employees at Waffle House.
I love fighting the staff at Waffle House. Fights at Waffle House are just a part of Waffle House. I've seen a few. Yeah,
it's like dinner and a show.
Yeah, dinner and a show. Look, I've blacked out at Waffle House. Waffle House is the only thing that makes me miss smoking. There was nothing quite like eating your scattered, smothered, covered, and smoking a pack of Camel Lights at the same time.
Good.
Just
sounded real good.
Yeah, I actually just started celebrating. Yeah, and you're going to see the best fights you'll ever see at a Waffle House. So, if you got some time today, type Waffle House fight into YouTube and just enjoy. Right, BB?
I would also like to add on FFU blank blank. That's delicious. The show hosted by Action Bronson, the chef turned rapper, who just seems like he's having the best time, smoking all the weed and eating all the food, and you're along for the ride. So I think that's a good one too. Hey,
before we go, I had a thought I've been sitting on for the past half hour, which was it you, Joe, who mentioned about the last half hour of Hobbs and Shaw, and like when it's like a different movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, in this day and age, doesn't it feel like that was our backdoor pilot for Fast and Furious Presents The Hobbs Family coming to Peacock as a streaming series?
Yeah,
100%.
Totally.
Yes, 100%.
That Chop Shop garage that they ran, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That's the Roman Reigns-led show, and you throw in the Usos and whatever Samoan wrestling dynasty you want to throw into the thing, and that's your backdoor Fast.
Yeah, why aren't there a million like Sons of Anarchy style F&F spin-offs? F&F Samoa, F&F Tokyo. Like you could just that I could watch 24 episodes of.
I mean, I think now that we're getting like these DC spin-off, it's inevitable.
Now that because Peacock is the NBC Universal streaming service, so I'm like they gotta have a Fast and Furious show.
Yes.
Yeah, they absolutely. It's like their biggest franchise. They did that cartoon for Netflix, but no. Like, give me the Letty
Garage.
Yeah, Letty's Lost Years. Whatever. They're gonna give us so many live action fast shows. I think that's a super good call, Eric. You know what else is a super good call? Ending on a high note, you guys. This was a good show. Thank you guys for watching. Fandom 5 on Friday. Come win some money, and we'll see you guys right here tomorrow. Bye.